Hello everybody. This time around I'm going to be adding a new distributor to my car. It's actually one of those 123 Bluetooth distributors that you may have been hearing about. A couple things about this. My car's got a stock 60, or technically 50 horsepower engine. It's a thing with the original engine in it. So, but it is a dual port, all original, really not any modifications to it. I've always had a bit of a problem with the distributor. This is the third distributor that I've had in it. I started with the original dual vacuum unit, which has an advance and a retard on it. And that probably had the most power of any distributor I had in it, but it was almost impossible to start the car when it was hot. And it was mostly starting issues. Once it was running, it was pretty good. Then I switched to a centrifugal advanced distributor, what some people call a dizzy. And as expected, and like everybody told me would happen, with a stock motor, with a stock carburetor, there was a pretty good flat spot, but it really helped in the hot starting. So I knew I was on the right path. So then I decided to go to a single vacuum advanced distributor made by CoolTune, and for the money, it's a really good distributor. It runs the best that it has with any distributor in it. It's still not optimal, and here's the challenges. It does start nice hot now, and it runs pretty good. It's probably the smoothest distributor I've had in there. However, I do seem to have lost some power. Probably due to the ignition curve not being aggressive enough. And while there are ways to manipulate these things, I wanted to try and do it in a way that would take care of a bunch of things at one time. I don't really have any gauges in this car other than the speedometer and the gas gauge. And I do have a voltage gauge that kind of came with the car. But I don't have anything else. And I love gauges, but I don't like changing the look of the interior. So this distributor does a couple things, which I like. First off, it's a very good quality piece. And boy, you do pay for it. On average, you're going to spend about $500 on this. But some of the good things. First off, the quality of the distributor is pretty amazing. Comes with everything you need within reason, including comes with this spacer, which I might need to go on the distributor. We'll see if I end up using that. It is a 3-wire distributor. There's a red, a black, and a blue. The red and the black go to the coil. The blue is a ground, which is goofy, but there you are. So it also has a vacuum port on it, so it still measures vacuum and can use vacuum as a reference for your curve, which is nice. On the app that's on your phone that talks to this distributor, it will show a tachometer, it will show your vacuum, and it will show, let's see, it'll show the actual curve and the advance. It has also speedo on there. So it's kind of neat because not only can you adjust things, so to give you an example, I can adjust timing from the app within 10 degrees either way. Also, I can manipulate the curve, which is very nice. And there's a lot of canned curves out there, and being that this is a very simple motor, I'm very sure I'll find one that works real well. And then if I want to tweak it, I can. The vacuum reference is kind of nice in the sense that the vacuum on mine has an exact port that you're supposed to use from the carburetor, and the thing about that is it doesn't open or let vacuum out until you get to a certain part of the throttle. But by changing to this distributor, I can actually set it so I can put it to direct vacuum, which will give me a much better vacuum reference, not going through all these weird ports in the carburetor. And I can electronically tell it when to reference the vacuum and when to ignore it. So that's kind of nice too. So these are all things that kind of push me in the direction. I don't really want to modify this engine per se. I just want to optimize what I have And I'd like to have the power that I had with the dual vacuum, along with the smoothness and hard starting and a better curve that I'm getting with the single vacuum, and just get all that working together. And it'll just give me more tunability. In a nutshell, to install this, you would basically set your old distributor to static #1 firing position. So that's, if you go back to your mirror book, it explains that. On my particular car, I have it set up at 10 degrees. So at 10 degrees, this is right firing on #1. So they want you to set the distributor to that place, which I did. So it's not top dead center per se, it's 10 degrees after top dead center. Well, it might be before, excuse me. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's static when it's supposed to fire #1 cylinder. At this point, I can take the distributor out, put the new distributor in, and then really it's just a matter of getting an actual old-fashioned timing light and confirming that that timing number matches what it says on the app, because that's important, so that you know what you got. Then it's average. Now, the challenges I have are, you'll notice the wires don't have any ends on them, so I'm going to put some ends on them. And then I got to figure out where I want to put my negative blue wire, which I have some ideas. And basically just make this tidy, and then we can play. So everybody's going to learn along with me, because I'm learning as well. I've never installed one of these as far as the Bluetooth aspect of it, and we'll just all learn together. So let's have some fun, and I'll just chop this up and put it back together so you don't have to watch me fumble with things. Talk to you soon. Okay, so I've put on some ends that are going to work for me. My blue negative is going to go to ground, probably where the regulator is. And then I got my 2 coil pieces, which are the female push-ons. And so really, technically, this is ready to put in and install. So that will be the next step. So I have my old distributor set to #1 static fire position, which is 10 degrees. And I am going to now remove the 10mm nut so I can just pull the distributor straight up and out. And then, of course, at that point, you want to really make sure you pay attention to the foot on the bottom, because if you look at it, there is a correct way to do this. So you want to make sure that you have the one side going to the correct place when you put this in. So that's the next step. All right, so the old distributor is out. Made note of where everything is. It looks like the positioning is going to be a little different on this one, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I did lubricate the seal and did put on the spacer. So the spacer is on there. I'm going to need that. I was measuring up the bottoms, and it needs it. And I lubed the seal there so I can get it in there. And next thing you want to do is just make sure you're putting it in the correct way, which I am. And it's just a matter of working her in. So that's the next, there we go. So now there is actually a mark on here, and I need to make sure that it is lined up with that mark. So that's my next step here. I need to spin this around a little bit, actually, because I think the mark's the total opposite side here. So the mark is actually pretty much right there. You can kind of see, let me see if I can angle the light here. You can see there's a little notch. It's not very easy to see. There, I think right there you can kind of see it. So I'm going to make sure it's lined up with that notch, and which would be about right there. So that's basically static, top dead center basically. And there is an adjustment on this, which we will make. So that's the next thing to do, and I will do that, and then I'll lock it down after I hook up some wires. So I'm spinning the distributor around just so I can get to the vacuum line. I'm going to install the vacuum line. And for right now, just for right now, I'm actually going to leave it hook up to the original port. And I may change that later. Actually, I'll probably change that later, to be perfectly honest with you. But I do want to move this distributor back to its correct position once I do this. So there we go. Got a nice solid fit there. Distributor is probably going to be more like that. I'll tune that in a sec. And I'm thinking of putting my blue wire probably up to here onto that ground there. So it's got a really decent ground right at the top there. So I'll probably do that. Then we can play. Okay, so I got the negative blue wire hooked to a nice ground. The black wire coming off of there actually, which goes to the generator. Hold on, if I can get a little, there we go. Turns out that wire was burnt up pretty good. So I took this opportunity to replace that. Anytime you find a bad wire, replace it. And everything else looked pretty good. So there must have been a little bit of shorting out going on there, which is not cool. I didn't trim these wires down just yet, but I will. I just want to kind of make sure the install goes well, everything's working, and then I'll take care of that stuff later. So next step is to confirm in the distributor that the distributor is set to firing number 1. So I did turn my battery off for this. I do recommend whenever you're doing any sort of electrical work that you disconnect the battery. On my car, I have a nice switch here, which I put in, and that disconnects the battery from the car. And I do recommend one of those. Can save you from a lot of grief. Okay, so the next thing you're supposed to do is remove the cap, and then we're supposed to turn on the ignition. Good idea. Turn on the ignition. Then you're supposed to spin. You see there's a little green LED. Well, that green LED is supposed to literally just go on, which I know this is a little off now, which is fine. So you're supposed to turn it until it just goes on. So I'm doing this nice and slow so we can get it right there. And then they say you're supposed to turn this and make to the correct direction and make sure that's not an issue. So we should be good. This is, whoops, I don't have the distributor all the way in. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I might have to play with this a little bit more. Yeah. There we go. So now, mind you, this is just a base setting. I mean, we're still gonna do some more stuff to this, so I'm gonna tighten the distributor down at this point. I feel pretty confident, even if that's not 100% accurate on the mark, it's pretty darn close. Definitely close enough to start. Alright, so the next thing you're supposed to do is to turn the app on, and the app is supposed to connect to the distributor. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this cap on there just so it's on there. Put that on. Alright, so I'm going to actually switch to my phone screen so that you can see me hooking up, because that's one thing kind of difficult when you do this with a phone, which of course is what everybody pretty much does their videos with anymore. When you want to show an installation that involves an app, it doesn't always show the app connecting to the thing because obviously you're using the phone. But luckily I have an Android phone, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to screen record, and then I'll show you what we're doing here. So bear with me a sec. So now we're on screen record. I'm in the actual app, and this is the first time actually connecting the app. It says the app will now search for your 123 tune. So I'm gonna hit search. Scan and connect permissions are many. So you allow, and it connected. So this is good. So enter my PIN, which is what they say you use the first time around. PIN authorized. So at this point it should be hooked up, and I really should be able to just start the car, and it should start. Let's see what happens here. And then the next thing you got to do, of course, is to time it and make sure that the timing is accurate. So let's see what happens when I try to start it. All right, let's see. All right, I'm going to give it a little bit of gas. All right, obviously the timing's a little bit off, which is, you know, to be expected. As you can see, it's working. So obviously we're going to want to advance this just a little bit to get a better understanding, but you can at least see that this is hooking up, and so that's a good thing. I'm going to switch to regular video now. Alright, so I advanced the distributor a little bit. Don't know if I did enough, but we'll find out. I must have, yeah, we're getting in the right direction. She needs a little bit more advance, but just a little bit more advance, and I think we're good to go just to get things set and started. And at that point, I can dial in the timing, and I think we'll be good to go. So we're really close to having an idle set. And you know, like we all know, this is not an exact science till you kind of get everything running. Once you get it running, you can really dial this in. I don't want to push it down too, tighten, you know, too crazy, because obviously we're going to be playing with it. But at the same time, you know, it's good to have things situated. So let's see what we got now. Alright, it's a little bit of a low idle. Alright, it's a lot of bit of a low idle. Still, let's go one more. We're definitely close, though. I mean, come on. I don't want to overdo it, because then you get a hard start and all that. I mean, hey, you're going to deal with this stuff. We were really close, though. I mean, it started pretty easily. I'll take that. Alright. Alright, I think we're getting there. Oh, much better. Alright. So, now we have a running car again. Idle's a little bit low, but not crazy. Next thing to do would be to time it and make sure that the timing light matches what the app says. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. To give you an idea on things you can do here, you can actually advance the curve, and that, as you can hear, it's making it idle much better. Kind of cool. So I'm still learning all this stuff, obviously. I'm going to play with this a lot, but as you can see, well, you really can't see because you're just looking at the dash, but you can hear that the engine's pretty smooth at this point, and by hitting tune, you can actually play around with that plus and minus the timing. And then of course you can do all sorts of other things as well. So It's kind of cool. I'm going to play with this a lot, and we'll see where this takes us. So that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the installation and hope this was helpful. And for people that are thinking of buying this distributor, it gives you an idea what's involved in installing it. I would say the install was pretty damn easy. Obviously, it starts right up and runs, and I will, of course, fine-tune and do all that good stuff. Please like and subscribe, and you guys have a great day.